Madam President, when we were debating the tax relief law at the end of last year, it was a very familiar debate in many ways. Republicans came to the floor with facts and figures about how much extra money people were going to be seeing in their pockets and in their paychecks. Democrats came to the floor with that same old tired line that you always hear them talk about, the millionaires and the billionaires. Well, Madam President, Republicans pointed out economic studies that showed that workers right now pay more than 70% of the cost of corporate taxes. We talked about a study from the Tax Foundation that predicted that if we passed the tax relief bill, that the average family would actually see a gain of about $2,600 a year in their after-tax income. Now, it was partly because of getting the tax cut and partly because their employers would then pass on much of the tax cut in higher wages. Well, Democrats didn't believe it. They said only rich people would benefit and that business would never share their tax savings with the workers. Well, the Democrat leader actually said that, quote, tax cuts like these benefit the wealthy, he said, and the powerful, he said, to the exclusion of the middle class. So here we are. It's the month after we passed the tax relief bill, the tax reduction bill, and the tax simplification bill, and the question is, who was right? Well, the very day that the tax bill passed in Congress, AT&T came out and said that they were giving their workers a bonus. It said that 200,000 hard-working employees were going to get an extra $1,000 each directly because of the new tax relief, tax reduction, tax cut bill. The Tax Foundation predicted that they'd eventually get an extra $2,600, and these people were already getting $1,000 each on day number one. Well, that has opened the floodgates to other companies doing the exact same thing and employees around the country experiencing the exact same thing. Businesses started sharing the tax savings with rank and file middle-class workers, and it started on day one. Now, not just the wealthy and the powerful, as Senator Schumer has predicted. Over 120 companies have said that they're going to give raises, raising wages, giving out bonuses, investing in their workers because of the tax law. It adds up to over $980 million. $980 million in the pockets of hardworking men and women around the country. So how many people are seeing that? By last count, almost 1 million hardworking Americans, over 970,000 hardworking Americans have already gotten the good news. And there's more good news coming every day with more announcements today. It's exactly what Republicans said would happen. It's happening for people who work at banks, who work at insurance companies, who work at airlines. It's happening for people who work at big companies like AT&T and Visa and Comcast, but it's happening for people who work at smaller companies like a winery in California and an aviation company in Texas. These are businesses and people in communities who are important parts of their communities, doing important jobs. The employees work hard, and now they're getting a share of the relief that the Republicans had predicted they would get all along. They're not just getting cash bonuses. There's a bank in Massachusetts, it's called the Berkshire Hills Bank Corp. They announced last week that the people working there will be getting a $1,000 bonus and will also see the minimum wage raised to $15 an hour. More is being invested in employee development and training programs. So when you invest more in employee development and in training programs, that means people are going to have additional skills that make them even more productive, better at their jobs, and qualify for even higher wages. This bank in Massachusetts is also contributing an extra $2 million to its charitable efforts, including scholarships. Well, that helps improve the communities where the workers live, where they raise their families. Democrats said it's not going to happen. Well, it's happened. It's happening every day. They said that businesses would just keep the money for themselves. That's not what we're seeing all across the country, Mr. President. Senator Warren, the senior senator from Massachusetts, went on PBS. This is what she said. This is the senior senator from Massachusetts, said that the idea that tax relief would lead to higher wages was, in her words, quote, the big lie, she said, that Republicans have been selling, close quote, she went on, for decades. She said that tax relief was, it's amazing, senior senator of Massachusetts said tax relief, she said, was an insult to working families across America. Mr. President, I would like to point out to Senator Warren that many of the people who work at this bank are in her home state of Massachusetts. People that have gotten wages, people that have got additional money spent on training so that they can become more valuable, make even more money, people who've seen the minimum wage in that business going up. The workers getting these bonuses and raises in their pay are her constituents. Does she think that these people are feeling insulted? Does she believe they've been insulted by getting a $1,000 raise and getting an increase in their salaries, in having investments in terms of additional training? Is that an insult to those people? I don't think so. I bet they're feeling pretty glad to be supported and valued by their employer. There's another business in Nevada, South Point Casino. Workers there are receiving $1 million total in bonuses. Previously, this business had actually planned to increase the costs for their employers because health insurance costs have gone up. Health insurance prices have skyrocketed ever since Obamacare has been passed. Companies have struggled with how to deal with these rising costs. Many have tried to pass these on to the employees. Now, this company in Nevada has said that because of the Republican tax relief law, they're canceling their plans to raise insurance costs. Canceling their plans to raise the cost. Well, that's more money in employees' pockets. The owner of the business said, we want to be sure that our extended family is taken care of. That's the way these businesses think of the people that work for them, as part of their extended family. That's how employers are responding to tax relief all around the country, and that's what we said would happen. Mr. President, we also predicted that one way businesses might deal with lower taxes would be to cut prices for consumers. Let people who use their services or buy their products keep more of their hard-earned money. Well, Americans are starting to see that prediction come true in the form of lower utility bills. Gas and electric and water utilities across the country are getting ready to cut their rates because the taxes are going down under the law. Customers of the power company in Baltimore are going to receive millions of dollars in the form of lower rates. Well, it's been a cold winter, Mr. President, on the East Coast, and a lower electric bill is going to be good news for a lot of people in that community. Customers are also likely to see the same thing in Missouri, in South Carolina, in Louisiana. These are the kind of effects, Mr. President, that we're seeing all across the country in various ways, but all good news for consumers, all good news for people at home as a result of the tax reduction, tax relief, tax cuts passed by Republicans and signed by President Trump. Americans are getting the benefits of tax relief. They're getting the benefit of regulatory relief and the pro-growth policies of Republicans in Congress and the Trump administration. Mr. President, people are seeing it in their daily lives. The polling company Gallup says that as soon as Donald Trump was elected president, economic confidence in this country soared. That's what the polls found. It has stayed positive almost without interruption ever since. It's the exact opposite of what polls were showing during the previous 8 years in the previous administration. That was during the so-called economic recovery. Well, why are people so optimistic now? It's because, Mr. President, you can't open a newspaper or turn on a television without seeing more good news about the economy. New employment numbers came out last Friday. CNN had a headline, U.S. economy added 2 million jobs in 2017. 2 million jobs in 2017. The Washington Post headline was, Trump's first-year jobs numbers are very, very good. Bloomberg reported that the Christmas shopping season was probably the best one in a decade. Mr. President, people are feeling confident. They're seeing higher wages. They're seeing cash bonuses. And soon they'll start seeing the tax cut in their paychecks. The American people know that Republicans have kept our promise. We're cutting regulations, cutting taxes, putting more money back in their pockets, and that's what hardworking Americans have asked us to do, and that's what we're going to continue to do. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.